How about now?
Good.
Yay. All right. 20 minutes later. Let's come down to our knees and we will find a child's pose. So we can send our hips towards our heels. Let me know if this is echoing on your end. And we'll just walk our hands out. As you inhale, we'll press into the floor, kind of almost like a cat back, but just think about making it flat more than rounding. So engaging our lats, pressing, and then as you exhale, just fall towards the floor. Inhale, float up. Exhale, fall towards the floor. So pressing, kind of press and pull the floor with the hands, and then we'll float down. One more, inhaling up, exhaling down. We'll send the right arm out to the side. We'll come up for a twist, and then we'll slide it through. Just kind of relaxing into the floor. Good. And breathe. Good. We'll unthread, send that right arm up towards the ceiling for that twist, and we'll swim it down to the front. Good. Left arm's coming up, and we'll slide that through and underneath. Kind of use your breath to lift out of the shoulder, and then as you exhale, kind of putting that pressure on a little bit. So kind of turning on the stretch and turning off with your breath. Good. We'll unthread the arm, coming back towards the ceiling for that twist, and send it to the front. Gonna pull through the hands, hinging at our hips, coming into a little cobra. Good. And then we'll send our hips back to that child's pose. Let's add a little cat action in the middle of this. So as I float forward, I'm going to round my back towards the ceiling. Reaching through the head, let the hips fall. Maybe the elbows bend a little bit. And then we'll press up, float back through that cat, and back to child's pose. Articulating our spines as we move through, inhaling to come forward, activating our triceps with a little cobra dip, and then pressing up and floating back. Good, one more floating forward. Take our little dip, and now instead of floating back, I'm going to engage the tops of my feet, come up to my up dog. So I'm pressing through my feet, thighs are lifted, shoulders rolling back. And then we'll land the knees, tuck the toes, and find our downward facing dog. So hips lift, feet can walk in or out. And I'm going to make some space between my neck and my ears. My shoulders to my ears, letting my head hang. Coming up to the tippy toes, floating my knees to the floor, and I'll just kneel back, sitting down on the tops of my feet, letting my quads relax. I think we'll play a bunch in downward facing dog today, so we'll warm that up now-ish. Cool. Walking my hands out, tucking my toes, lifting my hips, downward facing dog. We'll shift forward to our plank, and then shifting back, downward facing dog. Inhale, wave forward, maybe adding that little bit of cat back through this. And then shifting back, downward facing dog. Let's raise the left heel towards the ceiling for a three-legged dog. Option to keep that foot lifted as we shift forward. And then pressing back. Lower the left leg and lift the right. Same thing, inhale, shifting forward and pressing back. Right leg comes down, left leg goes high. This time as we shift forward, we'll bend the knee and we'll bring it underneath our chest. Bring it towards your wrist and then kicking back. Let's do 2 of those. Shifting forward once more, knee comes forward and kicking back. And foot comes down, opposite side. Right heel lifts, knee bends as we shift forward and kicking it back. And once more, shifting forward and kicking it back. Foot comes down, left heel high. We're going to land the knee in the center this time as we shift forward, coming into like a shitty pigeon, if you will. So heel in line with my center, knee forward, and we'll just fold down. Good. Peeling my way up, tucking those back toes. I'm going to kick the left heel high, and then lower and switch legs. Right knee comes up through center. We're keeping our heel straight for now, and we'll fold forward. Good. Toes engaged, lifting up, and kicking that foot back. And down. I'm going to walk my hands to my feet, coming into my forward fold. And I'll let the upper body hang. We can take hold of our opposite elbows, interweave the arms, and we'll just hang. I'm going to soften the knees, resting my torso on my thighs, sending my arms behind me. And then I'm going to fold forward, arms towards the ceiling, and maybe reaching overhead. And we'll drop our hips coming up to chair. And exhale, folding forward. We'll walk our hands forward, finding that downward facing dog. Coming up to our tippy toes, bending our knees. We'll step the right foot outside the right hand. Good. Left knee can be down. Yeah, and now just think of bringing your hips towards the floor. Starting to open up. Good, and we'll switch. So right leg replaces the left knee, and the left foot steps up outside the left hand. Good. Leaving my right knee down, I'm going to shift my hips forward. So just... Good. Let's add that three-legged dog in the middle. So my back toes tuck, sweeping that left heel high, lowering the foot down, coming up to the tippy toes, landing the knees. Right foot will step forward, shifting the hips forward. Yeah. Good. Tucking those left toes, we'll straighten that left leg and sweep the right heel high. Good. Right foot comes down. I'm going to come into pigeon, so my left knee is going to bend and bring it this time more parallel with my shoulders. Good. We're going to fold here. And then lift up. You're just going to have a little fun. If you're familiar with the fallen triangle, we're going to add that. So, hands engage, toes engage. My bent leg is going to shoot across underneath me. I'm coming into like a side plank. Yeah. And then I'm going to retract the knee, hand comes down, back to my pigeon. And then we'll come down. Let's do 3 of those. We'll call that 1, a float up, engage the toes, kick and lift. Good. And 1 more, retracting, folding down. Planting the hands, inhaling up, kick and peel. Yeah. And we'll come back to center. 1 more, resting pigeon here. As we inhale, we'll kick that left leg back and high, 3-legged dog. Switching sides. Right heel lifts. Right knee comes up through center towards the right wrist. Finding my pigeon. Folding down. Engaging the hands underneath my shoulders. Left toes engaged. I'm going to kick that right leg to the left side. Fallen triangle, fallen star. Hips lift, pressing through the hands. And then we'll retract. Turning to face the floor. And relax. Inhale, pressing up. Toes engaged. Kick and peel. Good. Coming back to center. Back to our pigeon. Good. 1 more. We're going to press. Try to time everything as you lift. Leg reaches, arm reaches. And coming back to down pigeon. To 3-legged dog. Downward facing dog. Coming up to those tippy toes, we'll bend our knees. And we'll come to our kneeling position. Good. It's fun times. We'll float up and we'll step out with the right leg into gate pose or a little like side stretch. So I'm going to lift and reach. Oh yeah. Good, I'm going to go toes towards the ceiling, arms out to a T. I'm going to reach towards the toes end point. Good, top hand can sweep overhead. Try not to round. So if that means not going as far, that's fine, but try not to look towards the knee. I'm going to reach. Coming back to the T, toes lift. And let's do 3 of those. Toes point, coming into that side bend. Back to center. And back to the right. Back to center. I'm going to slide the foot in. Take a little breather there. Opposite side. Left foot's going to step out. Arms to a T. Toes face up. As I reach through the toes, I'm going to fold to the side. Inhale to my T. Toes lift. Toes point. Arms reach. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Good. Back to center. We'll plant the hands, sweep the leg. 3-legged dog, right leg lifts. And as we shift forward to plank, I'm going to bring that right knee outside my right elbow for a touch. And kick it back. We'll do 3. Knee to elbow. And back. Knee to elbow. And back. And we'll switch. Left heel high. Left knee towards left elbow. And back. Left knee to left elbow. And back. 1 more. And back. Good. Let's walk our hands to our feet. Coming back to that forward fold. Inhale to a flat back, halfway lift. We'll drive the top of the head forward, looking at the floor. Folding down. And we'll come back towards that anchor so my knees will bend, thighs support my torso, arms behind me. Like we're diving in. We'll straighten the legs, fingertips towards the ceiling. Really reach the arms up and let the head hang. So energetically reaching. Those shoulders lift away from the ears. And then we'll sweep up to chair. Hips dip, arms lift. We'll sweep the arms down and stand. And fold forward. Let's do 3. Soften the knees, peel your way up. Inhale the arms wide. Exhale, folding down center. 1 more. Inhale, rolling up. Exhale, folding down. Good. Let's add downward facing. Say it's a lizard. Shoot through for a fallen triangle. We'll come back to downward facing, and then we'll walk our hands back. So it'll be a little crazy. So let's see what happens. So from standing, coming down like I'm going into my chair, I'm going to plant my hands, walk out so my knees are hovering. Press back to downward facing. Raise my right heel. Step outside my right hand. This is our lizard pose. Now that right foot is going to shoot underneath. So like we did before, reaching across, left arm peels up. Coming back to center, I'm going to go right to three-legged dog. Downward facing dog. Soften my knees and walk up to stand. So hands walk towards my feet and drive up. Cool. Then we'll do the same thing opposite side. So lowering my hips, bending my knees, trying to keep this angle 90 degrees through the knees. Straighten. Left heel high. Left foot steps outside, left hand. Lizard. To my fallen star. So weight goes into the left hand. Left foot shoots underneath. Right arm peels up. Coming back. Right to three-legged dog. Downward facing dog. Tippy toes, knees bend. Walk my hands to my feet and stand. Good. 2 more. Each side, hopefully. We'll try to move a little faster. We'll move with our breath. So coming down, walking it out. Downward facing, right heel high. Stepping forward. Sending it through. Three-legged dogs. Downward facing. And then walking it back. Inhale. Exhale, coming down. Walking forward. Downward facing. Left foot outside. Left foot through. Three-legged dog, left foot high. Downward facing. Walking it back. Inhale, stand. Good. Right back to it. Coming down. Downward facing dog. Right heel lifts. Stepping forward. Sending it through. Sending it back. Coming down. Knees bend. Coming up to stand. Inhale. Other side. Last one. Folding. Reaching. Left heel high. Step. Send it through. Send it back. Downward facing, knees come down. And walk it back, inhale it. Let's dissect these pieces as part of our cool down. So let's do 3 forward folds and inhale, half salutations, if you will. So we'll just come to stand. Taking control of our breath, inhale, sweep the arms up. And we'll bring our elbows together as we fold. So stretching my back, folding down. While we're here, notice where your weight is in your feet. Is your ass back, toes are light. Try to even out the weight throughout your feet. And fold forward. Inhale to a flat back. Again, feel where you are in your feet. Exhale, fold. We'll soften and roll up here. Inhaling, reaching up. We'll go elbows together as we fold down. Bring awareness to your feet, your balance. Inhale, halfway lift. Really drive through the head and fold. Soften and roll up. And we'll go right back down with our exhale. This time we'll go elbows wide so the wrists get a stretch. And then we can peel them fingertips towards each other as we fold. And we'll play here for a few breaths. You can plant your hands and shift the weight forward and back. And we'll inhale, halfway lift. I'll play with the weight, so I'm shifting. My toes are my brakes. And then I shift back. Maybe the hands become light, so they're just touching. And I'll just shift. And we'll fold. And inhale up. Good. Let's do that hip hinge get up. So I'm coming down like I'm going to pick up a kettlebell or do a deadlift. Thighs support my chest. Hands come down. I'm just going to walk it out. We'll tap the knees and walk it back. To stand. Good. So one of the keys is to keep this 90-degree bend. And I'm just hinging through my toes. My feet are stretching. Tap. And then driving back. So for this particular move, keeping a flat back, I'm trying not to twist, trying to stay stable, and send the weight into my hips to drive up to stand. Good. We'll do one more. Flat back, walking it out, walking it back. Now here when I stand, my shoulders lift by my hips driving forward. Boom. Good. Coming on down. Walking our hands out. Once our knees touch, shoulders under the wrists. Or wrists under shoulders. Toes tuck. We'll find our downward facing dog. Good. We'll play here. Shifting the weight into the right hand. My left arm's going to reach towards my right ankle for a twist. And we'll just switch, alternating. So a little tap, and back to the front. A little tap, and back to the front. As you reach through, you can look up under your armpit and come back. And come back. Okay, we'll bend our knees all the way down. We'll find our child's pose here. I'm going to leave my toes tucked, stretching through the feet. And we'll slide our way forward to a little cobra. Peeling up. And then I'm going to lift the hips and go back to my child's pose. Tops of the feet this time to the mat. Keeping my left knee down. As I shift forward, my right foot's going to step outside my right hand. Coming back to that lizard pose. Keeping that knee down for now. We'll plant the left hand and twist towards that right knee. Good. We're going to take that right hand, we're going to place it on the small of our back, so the back of the hand goes to the small of the back, or maybe even the left hip, just to peel our way over some more. Bring awareness to your right foot, your right knee, and try to bring it to center. Good. Coming back to our hands and knees, right hand replaces. We'll press back to child's pose. And we'll wave forward, stepping up with the left foot this time. Right knee stays down. We'll relax here for one moment. Right hand plants. Left arm lifts up. And again, the back of the left hand finds the small of the back, or maybe the right hip. And then I'm bringing awareness to what my left knee's doing. Is it just plopping out to the side, squeezing it in? We'll unwind, coming back with the left hand. Left knee steps to the back, child's pose. Floating up, tuck those toes. We'll find downward facing dog. And now we'll come into our pigeon. So my right knee's going towards my right wrist. Left ankle opens up towards the left wrist. And then we'll crawl our way down. I like to use my long back leg to kind of inch my way down. Coming down to my forearms. You'll find the spot that works, and then we can make a little hand tower. So instead of folding down with our heads to the floor, I do a little stack, and then I'll rest my head, so hopefully my back is more straight than here. So I'll rest. And as my hip opens up and loosens, I can melt my tower down to top hand flat, maybe both hands flat. Add a twist here. So we'll come up to our forearms. My left forearm's going to point towards my right knee. I'm going to reach up for a twist. Come back to center. Pressing through the hands. Back foot engages. Downward facing dog. Option here to pedal out your feet a little bit as we go into the other side. So left knee comes forward towards the left wrist. Right ankle towards the right is what it is. Coming down to our forearms. I can crawl myself back with my long rear leg, the right side this time. I'm going to make my hand tower. I'm going to switch hands on top and relax into this. Maybe as I exhale, my hands flatten. Maybe both hands flat. I'm going to float up a little bit. Right forearm parallel to the left leg or the shoulders. I'm going to twist up with the left arm. Good. Coming back to center. Planting the hands, right toes tuck engaged. And we'll float up to downward facing dog. So I'm going to soften the knees and I'm going to walk my feet to my hands. Come back to my forward fold. Heel toe my feet apart, a little bit wider than hip distance. And just for fun, we'll come down into a little squat. So I'm going to send my knees out to the side, hips come down, elbows into the thighs. And then we'll just peel up and come down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Good. One more up. And pausing at the down, we'll leave the right hand down and we'll reach up with the left for a twist. And then we'll switch. Left hand down, right arm up. We'll do one more each side. And switch. And lifting the hips forward, fold. Heel toe your feet back in. We'll come down to our kneeling position. Whatever's comfortable, toes can be tucked. Or if you want to crisscross your feet out front, that's all good. And we'll inhale the arms up. Nice and slow, inhaling. Reaching straight up, we'll inhale a little bit more. And we'll exhale, fingertips towards each other. Shoulders melt, hands come down. And we'll open and inhale. The top, and one more sip. Exhale down. And last one, big inhale. All right, that's all this week. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. Any questions, let me know. If not, I hope to see you next week.